These Conservatives, how on earth could they do this? This article we're going to read from Byline Times. They are hitting the Council of Europe Rebuke over charging journalists to cover their party conference. Selective journalists from selective media outlets. Let's read a bit more deep into it, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Byline Times, and I strongly urge you guys, if you can, support Byline Times via their YouTube, and if you can join to become a member, please do so as well. I will put the links in the description for you guys as well. So, what is the headline here? A deeply concerning precedent in democratic society. Tories hit with the Council of Europe rebuke over charging journalists to cover party conference. The move is from the government's party sparked concerns over press freedom. Now, I've read already a little bit of this in detail, but apparently they're kind of, it's just ridiculous to say the least. Why would they charge so much for journalists to be able to just simply do their job? Yeah, it's not a nice one. Well, I would say not a nice one. We've covered worse, but this is still very insulting to say the least. The Council of Europe has issued a damning rebuke of the Conservatives, charging journalists at least £137 to attend its conference this autumn. £137. Talk about taking the mick. The party sparked a row over the press freedom after introducing fees for each journalist application. The Council of Europe, the pan-European body of which European Courts of Human Rights is a part, and has now issued a media freedom warning, noting that the policy sets a deep concerning precedent in a democratic society. In a statement, the Council of Europe, of which the UK is a member, pointed to the ruling Conservative Party sparking anger from journalists and outlets from across the world. The News Media Society, the Society of Editors and the Foreign Press Association are among the 300 reporters and organisations to protest this fee, saying it is wrong in principle, a serious media freedom issue and barrier to open democracy. £137. This is just an outrageous amount of money. And why are they doing this? Because they don't want them there. The £137 charge comes on top of a further £125 charge for using a dedicated media room within the conference centre. However, the Conservatives have faced questions after confirming to Byline Times that they are exempting selected media outlet from the charges. There you go. Selected media outlets, guys. Clearly, they don't want to be talking to certain media outlets because they're going to be pointing out the obvious. The discontent and from them to not want to, come face to face with serious questions from real journalists is despicable from this Conservative Party. Despite initial suggestions the charges would apply to all, Byline Times reported that the party had been given some social media outlets a waiver code which disapplies the entry charge. Yeah, wonder what media outlets would probably get this waiver code, huh? I can think of a few media outlets. I'm sure you guys know which ones I'm talking about. In a statement, the Conservative Party spokesman previously confirmed that it had applied a range of exemptions for some local media outlets, suggesting that this was due to the challenging financial situation many local outlets face. However, a party source then told this newspaper that the exemptions had also been extended to some major broadcasters too. Previous statements by the party did not mention that the waiver had also been applied to some broadcasters. Ooh, I wonder who they could be. I literally just said that, didn't I? Last month, a party spokesman failed to respond to a multiple requests for comment regarding which national newspaper or magazines have been given waiver codes. Hundreds of Foreign Press Association members have signed an open letter noting that allowing journalists to report freely on matters of public interest is a fundamental tenet of a free and democratic society, that no such fees exist elsewhere. Other political parties allow journalists to attend their conferences for free on the principle that it is in the public's interest for such organisations to receive scrutiny. Exactly. And they're scared of scrutiny. That's the whole point of this, guys. Deborah Bonney, director of the Foreign Press Association in London, says, with close to 300 news organisations from all over the world calling out the Tory party with no response from them, now the Council of Europe has issued what can only be seen as a deeply embarrassing, if not humiliating, media freedom warning. She added, for a ruling party to ask journalists to pay to report on their national conference is pretty shameful. It effectively shuts out anyone who cannot pay to attend and puts freelancers, local journalists and foreign correspondents at a clear disadvantage. This is likely to have an effect on the UK's position in the next World Media Freedom Index, and more dangerously may well inspire other countries to put up similar barriers to media security. Yeah, and they're going to set a precedent by doing this as well. The Conservative Party, other media, other governments and political parties that are right wing will think, well, we can do the same. It sets that precedent, and then and then it's going to happen. And then how long before, if they're not already doing it in America as well? If they don't scrap or refund these fees, the UK should be kicked out of the Media Freedom Coalition, and all for £137. Michelle Strand-Street, General Secretary of the National Union of Journalists, welcomed the Council of Europe's statement. The senile and shameful decision of the Tories to impose charges on journalists to attend their party conference is a clear undermining of press freedom from a government that is now facing international criticism as a result. No political party should be allowed to introduce costs that effectively filter attendees and prevent public scrutiny from their policy-making activities, she added. The NUJ has previously challenged the party on fees, flagging the particularly damaging impact costs it will have on smaller news outlets and freelance journalists. Reporters Without Borders warned that charging journalists to access an important political gathering not only interferes with the process of holding politicians to account and keeping the public informed, but also sets a dated precedent to other countries. The Council of Europe is now demanding action from the Conservatives to scrap and refund these charges for acceleration to the annual conference in Manchester this October. It has asked for a response by 30th September. The Conservative Party was contacted to comment. Yeah, I wonder what they would say if they did actually respond, guys. I don't think they are going to respond, if I'm honest, guys. I think this is extremely dangerous, guys. It is setting a very dangerous precedent. The freedom to be able to question people, question politicians and their actions and what they say is important. It's a fundamental democratic right here. And you're effectively, what the Conservative Party is doing is shutting out people who will hold the Conservative Party to account, is what they're doing. They are scared. They are scared of criticism, this Conservative Party. And it's a desperate attempt to do that. And the thing is that if this goes ahead the way they want to do it, this sets a dangerous precedent in the future. What's to stop other right-wing countries, as I said, doing the same? It's just not right on any way, shape or form. You should not, as a journalist, be forced to have to pay to go in to talk to politicians. Politicians should be wanting to talk to the media, to talk about these things, and so that keep the public informed of what's going on. We know the media outlets that are going to get a free pass in all this. We know who they are. I don't need to tell you their names. You know who they are. But yes, this is going to set a dangerous precedent in the future if this does go ahead the way they want it to. What do you think the Council of Europe should do? Can they do anything? Should the Conservative Party stop being scared of real journalists, and should they just grow a pair and actually face criticism that's coming at them? Because either way, they're going to get that criticism. What actions, if any, can we do to make sure that democracy remains and that people are able to that journalists are able to hold politicians to account? Any ideas and suggestions, leave them in the comments down below, guys. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.